So question one says, what is necessary to achieve Pareto efficiency? We're talking about Pareto efficiency. It talks about how individuals are able to benefit from something. But in the course of you benefiting from that thing, it must not affect any other person. That's what Pareto means. You are going to benefit, yes. But you benefiting from that thing must not affect any other person. Yes. Question two. Said, a local council is considered building a passenger terminal at the port so that it can benefit the large cruise ships that dock there. It undertakes a cost-benefit analysis. What would be included as an external cost in the local council's cost-benefit analysis? Well, the cost of a ticket for passenger is a private. The cost of fuel is private to the owner of ships. The cost paid by cruise ships when they dock at the port, it's private. The cost to a fishing fleet of relocating to another port. So the action of this would have meant that the fishing fleet would move to other ports. So that's an external cost. So the answer is D. Clear? Question three. They said the expected marginal private benefit and marginal social benefit, marginal private cost and marginal social cost for building a new road as shown in the diagram. So the government, if government intervenes, what happens? If government intervenes, with government intervention here, we have, before government intervention, without government intervention, our marginal private benefit must equal to our marginal private cost. Without government intervention, marginal private benefit must equal to marginal private cost. MPB must be equal to MPC. And that is our point. MPC and MPB at Q1. Do you see it there?
Yeah.
Okay. That's MPB. No, marginal private benefit must equal to marginal private cost at Q3, sorry. MP3, MPC. Do you see that? At Q3. Then with government intervention, it will be marginal social cost equals to marginal social cost equals to marginal social benefit. And that is at Q3. MSB equals to MSC. Do you get it? Is it clear or not?
Yes, yes.
All right. So it is without government intervention, it is at Q3. With government intervention, it is at Q2. Clear? Then the next one. So question 3 is B. Question 4. So they said a rational consumer chooses what quantities of two products Y and Z to purchase with a given income. The marginal utility for product Y and the marginal utility for product Z are the additions to total utility that would result if the consumer were to purchase an additional unit of each product, product Y and product Z. Product Y and product Z are the current prices of the two products. So which outcome would represent consumer equilibrium? Consumer equilibrium will be represented when your marginal utility for product Y is given, it has a relationship with the product X. And your marginal utility for product X has a relationship with product Y. That is at equilibrium. So the answer is C. Clear, right?
Yeah.
Question 5. It said the diagram shows a consumer indifference curve and the budget line for an inferior good and a normal good. Which diagram shows the effect of a cut in income tax on the consumer choice if income tax reduces? If income tax reduces, it increases purchasing power for consumers, yes or no?
Yes.
So at that point in time, the demand for normal goods will increase and inferior goods will fall.
Okay.
Do you get my point?
Yes.
So the normal goods will increase to BL2 and inferior goods will fall. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So the individual curves will be at BL2, IC2. So it's A.
Yeah, BL2 to IC2.
Do you get my point?
Yes.
Because income tax has fallen. And when income tax falls, it increases the purchasing power of individuals. That means we can start buying normal goods instead of buying inferior goods.
Yeah.
Because inferior goods are goods that the demand increases as the level of income falls. But now the level of income is increasing because of a cut in income tax. So we'll start buying normal goods, which are goods that their demand increases as the level of income increases. Is it clear? All right. We go to question
6. What is marginal cost?
Question 6. And what is marginal cost? Marginal cost is the difference between the total cost of producing n units and units of output. That's why I say
Okay.
it can't be average variable, it can't be average cost, it can't be the fixed cost. It is the total cost. Because we would have gotten to total cost before we think about marginal cost.
Yeah.
So question 7.
The table shows the production and total cost of performing. What is the average variable cost of producing 5 tons of output?
So what is the average variable cost of producing 5 tons of output? Normally, the average, first you have to know our total cost. Total cost is fixed cost plus variable cost, FC plus VC. So now we have FC because at 0 unit, total cost is 20. So that means our FC is 20. So at 5 units, it will be 50 minus 20, which is 30. Then that is variable cost. So variable cost is 30. Then average variable cost will be 30 divided by 5, the output, which is $6. So the answer is C, question 7. Question 8. They said the diagram shows the long run total cost curve of a firm. At which output is the long run average total cost at its minimum? The minimum will be between Z to Y. So it is Y. Your average long run total cost will be at Y. Because as output increases, that's when your average total cost should reduce. So point W and point X are indicators that the firm is trying to increase its output. At point Y, the firm has increased its output. So at that point in time, the average cost should start falling. So the minimum average cost should be at point Y.
Yeah.
Okay, we go to, so it is OY, 0Y, OY. Yes, thank you. Question 9. They said, which combination of statement about small firms and large firms is correct? What are small firms? Firms that are naturally small, right? So which statement is right about small firms here? The first one says, small firms are more common in manufacturing than in service. No way. Manufacturing businesses have they are manufacturing, they convert raw materials into finished goods. So it will be a very big business. So it's not A.
I think it's D.
What's the answer?
Can I have any monopoly power?
D? No.
Okay.
Small firms could have monopoly.
Could they?
Yeah, they could. Small firms can have monopoly. They can be monopoly. You can be producing. You can be a small firm and be the only one producing in an organization or in a country.
Okay.
So it could. So B, they said, are more numerous than large ones. Yes, small firms are more. Do you understand?
Yes.
Small firms are more. But now let's go back to the large firms. They said, do not experience the economies of scale. They might. Large firms might experience these economies of scale. So that's why it's not B. For small firms, it's right. There are more small firms than large firms. It's right. But we are not going to choose B now because large firms can also experience these economies of scale. So go to C. Small firms can do well when each item produced must be different. Yes, when they produce different products. So that means they can sell. They have different customers. So they don't have to compete with rivals. So they will do well. A. Yeah. Then that's for C. Then we check. May arise from internal growth or mergers. Yes. A big firm can be through integration, which is internal or which is through merger or internal. Yeah, internal is growth. Okay. Do you understand? Yes. External is merger. So the answer is C. Is it clear? Okay. Question 10. They said, why might the long-run equilibrium of a profit maximizing firm in a monopolistically competitive market differ from its short-run equilibrium? The only reason why a monopolistic firm will be having a difference in its short-run equilibrium profit is when there's barrier to entry. There's low barrier to entry. Because when there's low barrier to entry, it means other firms might come into the industry. So in the short run, they won't be making more profit.
Clear.
Do you understand? The industry is open to everybody. So as soon as a new firm comes in, it might reduce your revenue, leading to reducing your profit. Is it clear?
Very clear.
Question 11.
The diagram shows the cost and revenue curves of a monopolist. What would be the aim of the firm if it chose to produce a minimum?
So if a firm, it said, okay, the diagram shows this cost, okay. So what would be the aim of a firm if it chooses to produce at Q1, P1? First, what is marginal revenue? Marginal revenue is when the total revenue you are getting means that the total output, that means the number you are selling all you have produced. That is when you are talking about sales or revenue maximization. You are able to sell. And how are you going to be able to sell? You are able to sell because your total revenue is full. That means you are able to sell everything. At that point in time, your marginal revenue will be at 0. So for a firm to be able to produce at Q1, P1, it would have meant that it's reducing its price. Before you can achieve a sales revenue, it will mean that you are reducing your price.
Yeah.
If you are not reducing your price, you won't achieve it. So that's why I look at this point where we have Q1, P1. The marginal cost curve is below the P1. Marginal cost, MC.
Mhm.
Do you see the MC curve?
Yes, I
It's
do.
below the P1.
Okay.
So that's when, so the point is that if the marginal cost is below P1, it means that the firm is thinking about increasing its revenue, not profit. Because if the firm wants to maximize profit, the marginal cost curve should be above the P1. Then you are selling at a higher price. You won't sell all, but you might make profit. But for you to make for you to sell below the price, below P1, it means you are thinking about selling all your products to increase your total revenue, which is sales maximization. Please get the point. There's marginal revenue, which will be 0 when your total revenue, when you sell all your products. But for a firm to achieve its total revenue, like for a firm to sell all its products, it would have meant that it has reduced its price. So to reduce your price will be below P1, which is the agreed price. P1, Q1 is the equilibrium, is the market equilibrium. But for you to achieve all what you have produced to sell them, you have to sell below the price, below the equilibrium price,
Yeah.
which is P1. So below the equilibrium price, it is at MC, not at AC. Do you get it or not?
Yes.
So at MC, you are going to be able to sell all the products, but at a reduced price. So you are not targeting maximization of profit, rather you are targeting maximization of revenue.
Yeah.
So it's A. Question 12. They said, what does the King demand curve model suggest about equilibrium price in the market? When I talk about the King demand curve, it talks about price stability between firms. So they said it will be stable because there is little incentive for firms to change prices. In an oligopolistic market, they don't use price competition. They don't compete with price. So they compete with non-pricing. They use non-pricing competition like advertisement. Are you getting my point? So the point is that in an oligopolistic competition structure, firms there are few large firms and few large firms in that market. That's why it is oligopolistic. Those firms do not compete with each other with price. They compete using advertisement. So the more investment you can make on advertisement, the more customers you get. So their competition is not about price. As a result, price will be stable. They don't compete with price. They compete with advertisement. So what happens if you are not competing in price? That means price will be stable. There won't be inflation in that market. No one will be selling at a lower price and others are selling at a higher price. No, they will be selling almost at the same price. But what they do is to convince customers with advertisements.
Yeah.
Is it clear? So the answer is A. No, advertisement, right? It will change frequently because, it's A, yes, I said it. It's clear, right?
Yeah.
Question 13. They said, what is the essential feature of a nudge theory? I told you about nudge theory yesterday. It's about behavioral aspects in economics, behavioral aspects. So they said aim of satisficing. What is satisficing? You are making profit to the extent that it's good enough for your own welfare.
Mhm.
So it's not nudge theory. The establishing of a legal requirement, that is legal legislation. It doesn't have anything to do with it. The existence of contestable market. This is competitive market. It doesn't have anything to do with nudge
Right.
theory.
This
So
was-
the idea of persuasion, that means you are persuading people. You're not forcing them.
Mhm.
So that's also behavioral. So the answer is D,
Yeah.
question 13. We go to question 14.
What indicates that a more equal distribution of income has been achieved?
For Gini, question 14, why?
Yeah.
Okay. When you talk about income distribution, we're talking about Gini coefficients. For Gini coefficients, it tells us more. It measures how income is being shared equally or unequally. Gini coefficient measures the ratio at which income is being shared among people, if it is equal or unequal.
Mhm.
So if your Gini gives you 0, the formula is A over A minus B. That's the formula. But when you measure it, if it gives you 0, it means income is shared equally. If it gives you from 0 point something to 1, it means it is not, that means income is not equally distributed. But if it's giving you 1 above, it means in that economy, there is high income inequality. Get my point?
Yeah.
If your Gini coefficient is 0, it means income is shared equal. There's equality in income sharing. If it is from 0 to 1, it means there's inequality in income. But if it is 1 and above, it means, in that economy, there is high inequality in terms of income. Do you get it? Do you get the explanation?
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's go back to the question. You said what indicates, so it's all about the Gini coefficient, which is C.
Okay.
Is it clear? So go to question 15.
Which combination of policies is most likely to reduce the number of low-paid workers caught in the poverty trap?
When you are caught in a poverty trap, that means you are in between the relative poverty and absolute poverty.
Mhm.
So what will reduce the number of low-paid workers in between this trap is, one, they have to, the income tax they pay must reduce. Get the point? They said individual tax free allowance for income tax must increase. They must increase it. So those that are making more money would get more income paid and more taxes paid. So that can be distributed to those that are not up to, that are in the trap. When government charges tax, government charges tax sometimes to redistribute income. So to redistribute income, government charges high income tax to those that are making money, that are very rich or wealthy.
Mhm.
So at that point, government must increase income tax. The second point is the national minimum wage. Government must increase the national minimum wage, because if government increases national minimum wage, it means the purchasing power for individuals will rise. Those that are in between relative poverty and absolute poverty will move a step above. So you are earning 500 and the national minimum wage is now 700. So that means you will be able to earn 700. You have additional 200.
Clear.
Do you get it? So the first point is that government must increase income tax to be able to distribute those, to reduce the gap between the rich and the poor. And those revenue made by government can be distributed through national minimum wage.
Clear.
Clear? So the answer is C.
Mhm.
Question 16. It said the diagram shows the effect of introduction of national minimum wage. WM, in an occupation where workers are employed by a profit maximizing monopsonist. What's a monopsonist? A monopsonist is a market structure that has only one buyer. One buyer. It's only one buyer you have. You are producing for just one buyer. That is monopsonist. Okay. So, but that is just to let you know what a monopsonist is. It's not the same as monopoly. Monopoly is a single seller. Monopsonist is a single buyer. Clear, right? Clear?
Yeah.
All right. So now there's an increase in the minimum wage. If there's an increase in the minimum wage, it means from W1 to WM. Minimum wage is WM. But at what point? At W1, it is at X. So that means we have W1 OXQ1. Now it's increasing from W1 to WM. It will now be WM OUQ3. Are you looking at it?
I am. Here it is.
Do you get it?
Yes.
So the minimum wage is increasing from W1 to WM. At that point, the employment labor employment will be from Q1. Now it's going to increase to Q3 at U because national minimum wage has increased. There's incentive for supply of labor.
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah.
Question 17. A backward sloping supply curve of labor is one where beyond a certain point, the supply of labor is what? Decreasing. Like yesterday, we talked about leisure. So as soon as your income level increases, you start thinking about working less for more leisure time. So that's it. Clear? Clear, right?
Yeah.
Question 18.
The table shows factors that influence living standards. Which country would be most likely to have the lowest human development index?
For the HDI, the lowest of the HDI will be country D. It has the lowest schooling years, which education is part of the HDI. Are you with me?
Yes.
Murder rate, homicide, doesn't matter anyway. Life expectancy, it has the lowest life expectancy. It has the highest infant mortality rate, that's Human Development Index 2, and it has the lowest gross national income. So it is D.
Okay.
Clear? Question 19. It said the table provides data on the gross national income and the foreign aid expenditure, that's foreign expending of selected countries in 2016. What can be concluded from the table? Countries with a higher GNI always spend more on foreign aid. I don't think so. So the first thing I have to do is we find the percentage of foreign aid. So how do you get the percentage of foreign aid? For Belgium, we have 468.9, right? So it will be 2.10 multiplied by 100 divided by 468.9. Okay. So the percentage spent on foreign aid for Belgium is 0.4%. 0.4 of their GNI. For Germany, it is 36. When you see the figure, you might feel like Germany is spending so much. It is not. So we calculate. For Germany, we have 23.84 multiplied by 100 divided by 3612.1. It gives us 0.6. Okay. For Sweden, we have 5.38 multiplied by 100 divided by 532.7. It gives us 1. For South Korea, we have 2.10 multiplied by 100 divided by 1403.6. It gives us 0.2. So the country that spent the highest on foreign aid expenditure is Sweden. Okay. But when you look at the figure here, logically you feel like it's Germany. So you might want to choose A, you might want to choose B, or even C. Based on when you see the figure, but you have to calculate it to know the percentage spent. Yeah. So the answer is D, yes. Question 20.
What would have been classified as structural unemployment?
Structural unemployment is unemployment as a result of changes in the economy. Okay, please read the question again, please.
What would be classified as structural unemployment?
We're talking about structural unemployment. Structural unemployment occurs when there is changes in the sector of the economy. When there are changes in the sector of the economy, then there's structural unemployment. Are you with me? That's the definition of structural unemployment.
Yes.
Now let's go to the options. It said a car worker who is replaced by a robot on the production line. That is structural, because we said changes in the sector of the economy. Now the manufacturing sector is now changing to using technology. That's the first point. So that could lead to structural unemployment. B, a coal miner whose mine closes because of increased use of solar power. So the sector of the economy is changing. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So it's still structural unemployment. The third point, a fruit picker who cannot find work in the winter winter months. That is not structural. It is what seasonal unemployment.
Yeah.
So the answer is C. So let's check D. It said a textile worker whose factory closes as production moved abroad. That is still manufacturing sector.
Mhm.
So the answer is what? D.
D.
C. Sorry,
C.
C. Yeah, C. So it is seasonal. You are not getting a job at a certain period
Often.
of a year.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's C, right?
Yeah. 21.
21.
The diagram shows the consumption function of a country where it proposed a consumption function to left upwards from C1 to C2.
So what would cause that? If consumption is shifting upward from C1 to C2, it would have meant that we are assuming that in the future, prices will rise.
Mhm.
So what could make prices rise in the future? Through rate of sales tax. If sales tax increases, it means prices will increase.
Sure.
So as a result of that, we forward our purchasing. We want to buy everything right now because prices will rise in the future. Clear? Is it clear, please?
Right.
So that's 21, right?
Mm.
Which is D, 22.
The accelerator principle refers to a relationship between investment and,
GDP. Changes in GDP.
which is B.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go for 23. What is included in narrow money?
So when we talk about narrow money is money that consists of the coins and the currency, the coins and the currency, like the dinars, and what else is the narrow currency? The money you have in your fixed deposit,
Mhm.
the narrow currency. So the only thing that is not a narrow currency is treasury bills. And what are treasury bills? Treasury bills are investment, short-term investment that gives you a return. That means you're buying government bonds.
Mhm.
Like you're borrowing government money that you get a return on after a period of time. That's treasury bill.
Mhm.
So note and coin is a narrow money. Account deposit, your current account deposit is a narrow money. Liquids, like fixed deposit, is a narrow money, which is in the bank. The only thing that's not a narrow money is treasury bill, which is you purchasing bonds at this point in time. So the return on it is through the treasury bills. So the answer is A.
Mhm.
22, right?
24.
24 now, right?
Yeah.
No, we did 23 now, which is A, right?
Yes.
24, yes.
The diagram shows the levels of the money supply and also the liquidity preference schedules. The national money market
Equilibrium
equilibrium
is X. The central bank purchases more government securities. If the central bank buys more government securities, it means they can now exchange cash for these securities.
Mhm.
It increases the money in circulation. That's the first point. And also it reduces the interest rate. Money in circulation will increase. The quantity of money will increase to D. The interest rate will fall to D.
Okay.
So the answer is D. Clear?
Yeah.
25.
What is an important assumption of monetarism?
For monetarism, this implies that it talks about the stability of the velocity of money in circulation. The stability in the velocity of money in circulation. That is monetarism. So let's check. Fiscal policy, no. Long-term unemployment, no. The interest elasticity of investment, no. The velocity of circulation is still stable.
Mhm.
Because it talks about the velocity, that means how money is moving within the economy. So the answer is D. Question 28.
According to Keynesian.
26, sorry.
Yeah, theory, how will an increase in autonomous spending affect the value of
For Keynesian,
yeah. Theory.
if there's increase in autonomous spending, what is autonomous spending? You're spending that does not have any impact within the income of the economy. That means you are spending out of the economy. That is what autonomous spending is. So if you are spending out of the economy, it means that at the end of it all, the amount of money you would have spent will be more than the level of income.
Yeah.
Do you get the point?
Yes.
So yeah, I wrote it will increase income by an amount greater than the value of the autonomous spending. So the income will you spend more.
Is that okay?
Yeah, is it clear?
Yeah.
So that's B. Question 27.
Statement 1. A market economy is inherently unstable and the government must play a
Stabilizing role through
monetary
monetary policy and fiscal policy. That is Keynesian, number 1. A. No, it could be A, it could be B, but it is not monetarist. It is Keynesian theory. So now let's check the second statement.
The economy will always return to equilibrium rate of output and employment, and as a result, long run aggregate supply as vertical.
That is monetarist.
So it's B.
Yes. 28.
The graphs below show percentage changes in money GDP and consumer prices in a country between 2008 and 2010. Which conclusion may be drawn from the graphs?
The conclusion is already there. The money GDP is falling, and there's the change in consumer prices is increasing. A.
Okay.
29.
An economy that elasticity of demand for imported raw materials 0.3 and elasticity of demand for exports is also 0.3. Following a depreciation of the economy's currency, what will be the impact on inflation?
If your economy, if a country's currency depreciates, that means it loses its value. What happens? Export increases in such country. If export increases, that might lead to an increase in the cost of factors of production, especially if they are importing. So it will cost push inflation will increase. Cost push inflation will increase. So it should be C or D. So let's check the second one. Change in demand pull factors. If the money, the value of your dinars fell against the dollars, you won't be able to import more because the price of import would rise. Yes or no? As a result of that, demand would what? Decrease. So change in demand pull factors will what?
Decrease.
Yes.
30.
So the answer is C.
Yeah, which combination of microeconomic policies are most likely to be successful if the aim were to reduce unemployment and reduce inflation?
So if government wants to increase, if government wants to reduce unemployment and reduce inflation, government must increase direct tax and reduce indirect tax. Because if government increases direct taxes, that increases cost of production. It reduces purchasing power, yes. But as soon as the purchasing power reduces, prices of goods and services are also falling. So people might still want to buy. As people are buying, demand is increasing. Firms might be able to employ more workers because to meet up with the demand of goods and services.
There.
The answer is C. Claire.